Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session, if we look at the price development so far for major currencies trading against the US dollar, we will see that for today's session the range has been kind of sideways. We haven't really seen a runaway move on either side, particularly if we exclude the USDGPUI. For the USDGPUI, the range is slightly more, but for other major currencies, the range is quite narrow, almost around 30 to 40 pips. And for other currencies, I think we have to simply take into consideration the existing range and in light of that look for the trading opportunities. So let us now head to the JForex 4, the newly released trading platform for the trading from Dukascopy Bank SA. This is the Euro USD chart with the each candle period defined at 5 minutes. I have added these down channel 24 and 48 to get us the price range prevalent over last 2 hours and 4 hours respectively, and this SMA 12 and 24 have been added to look at the average price prevailing over last 1 hour and 2 hours respectively. Now if we look at the Euro USD's price move, as I said in introductory remark, we have seen the tepid moves for these major currency cross the euro against the USD. And as the things stand, I think we are likely to see these consolidation phase extend. Even in the last session, that is yesterday, I had talked about this extended consolidation, and today the things are not much different. The euro has been finding support closer to 1.08 range for most part of today's trading session. The euro has been able to successfully hold above 1.08 range, and if we look at the intraday charting, it has been making higher highs and higher lows, particularly after these start of the European trading session. The downward bias kind of evaporated and it has been successfully able to hold above 1.08 range. Now, if we have to consider a fresh trade at the current levels, then I think the formation is still favorable, more favorable, you can say, compared to the bearish trend. It is more favorable for a bullish trend as we have this formation of higher highs and higher lows in place. So, unless and until this prior swing low is broken past on the lower side by the euro, we will do well to keep searching for the opportunities to go long. So that is something I would recommend as long as this formation of higher highs and higher lows holds. So even on these current levels, if we see the Euro USD holding well above 1.081 range for next hour or two, we can expect the Euro USD to continue this trend and eventually cross above 1.085, which is going to be the level just slightly above this prior swing high. So we are simply expecting the continuation of higher highs and higher lows, nothing much beyond that. And as I said, the range is not that big, so we will have to trade cautiously. Maybe 20-30 pips move can be expected, and it will be quite difficult for us to get big trades in this kind of scenario, as we will have to focus on these currency instrument in light of this current range. Now we of course have to consider whether the euro is the most bullish one or if we have better opportunities elsewhere. So for that we carry out the correlational analysis. The euro USD is holding this formation of higher highs and higher lows. Let us consider what's happening for other major currency, the Australian dollar. Australian dollar seems to have shown a sharp move on the higher side from 0.6680 to make a high slightly above 0.67. So that's an interesting development. And this is a isolated kind of move which we haven't really observed for euro. Okay, for euro also there was this move of around 20 pips around the same time. But for AUD, there has been a formation of a new high, whereas for the euro, the this high recent high formed is still below this prior swing high. So I think the AUD is now catching up to its earlier timidity. Earlier in the day, particularly during the Asian trading session, the AUD was the strongest mover. It has climbed almost close to 1 percentage point towards this high of 0.6695. But after that, it went on to correct from those levels, though the correction was quite shallow. If we consider these hourly charting formation, the AUDUSD, here you can notice that it is simply reversing on the higher side after finding support, this extended consolidation of two trading sessions after this prior decline. So again, it is now on track to make these higher highs and higher lows. And if you had taken this consolidation phase where it was holding above this prior swing high into account, then you would have gotten into a trade which would have been currently now sitting on the profit. But now that opportunity has been missed, so we will have to wait for fresh opportunities in light of the current developments. So for AUD, this spike brings it in limelight, and now we have to compare it with the euro. For euro, the trend has been also more favorable for the bullish trades, buy trades, and AUD. The same thing is also evident for the AUD. But for euro, the upward momentum has been more consistent, though at the moment it is not really the leader of the pack. AUD seems to have taken that mantle with this fresh high, which is sharply higher compared to this prior swing high. So I think for next couple of hours, AUD needs to be given more weightage for the search of buy opportunities in comparison to the euro, as it has been able to cross above this prior swing high and clear that swing high by quite a lot of amount in terms of the magnitude. So I would prefer to trade AUD moving forward. If it corrects and holds above this prior swing high, then that would be a good opportunity to buy the AUD. Let's consider the GBP. GBP has also been trading with these bullish bias, making higher highs and higher lows. It has also successfully crossed above this prior swing high, resulting in a fresh day high for the GBP. Now the question is whether we should be trading in GBP or AUD or Euro. I think from the medium term perspective, it is the instrument which is now closest to this prior swing high. So it has been able to successfully reverse all this prior decline and climb fairly close to this prior swing high, with the possibility of it eventually crossing above this 1.234 price level. It is not really far off, only 10 pips away from these current levels. So on that count, it is in a better shape from the medium term perspective. On intraday, the things are not that much clearer. The AUD is also looking strong at the current juncture. Euro is a bit of a laggard. It was leading earlier in the day, but it is not leading currently. So maybe GBP can be given preference over the euro as well as AUD, because from both the intraday as well as from the medium term perspective, things are quite solid for the GBP. So I would prefer to trade with the GBP ahead of both these other major currencies of Euro and AUD. Let's consider the story for NZD. NZD has been also making higher highs and higher lows for today's trading session, particularly in the Asian trading session. It gained more than half a percentage point. It was trading quite strongly. Then it has again corrected and tried to make a fresh swing high. So it is also following in the footsteps of AUD with this strong move on the higher side. Now, whether we should be putting the NZD, pardon, pardon me, NZD ahead of the other currencies, then I think not really, because if you look at this medium term chart, the NZD is the one instrument which has lagged in comparison to the other major currencies. It is only around half of the move away from the lowest point of its prior decline, whereas for the GBP, it is almost close to the top. So that is one interesting point which we will have to keep in mind. So from medium term perspective, the NZD is not that strongly placed. From intraday perspective, the things are not much different, but we have better momentum in AUD as well as GBP, and not to forget the Euro. So even on these current levels, I would still put the NZD as the least favorable instrument to trade on the long side if you expect the dollar to remain on the back foot in today's trading session. Now we will have to invert the scales and consider these USDGPUI. For USDGPUI, the range is more in comparison to the other instruments. We saw this sharp move on both sides for the USD JPY. It declined more than 100 pips earlier in the day, then it recovered those losses, coming back from 130.5 to 131.3. From there on, it again went on to decline, only to climb back. So these are case where the range is high, but still, even in this large range, the underlying momentum is sideways. So even if the range is high, we can't really say it is trending. It is simply a case of volatile consolidation. That's about it. So there is no strong move on either side. Let's consider the hourly charting formation where the USDGPUI is finding support around 130.50 level. So we still have to trade cautiously in the current scenario. The momentum is slightly more in favor of the JPY. So we can keep a focus on shorting the USD JPY even on these current levels, though it is better to buy the instrument like, pardon me, instruments like GBP and AUD, which have much more clarity than trading with the USD JPY, which is going sideways with this extended range. For the USDCHF, the formation is in favor of the US dollar. The CHF is actually on the losing side, and it appears to be the most bearish instrument in today's trading session. So it has given up all the yesterday's gains and has risen almost 1 percentage point from the lows. That makes the CHF as the most bearish instrument in today's trading session. For most other instruments, the day is more favorable for the long trades, but that is not really the case for CHF. CHF is actually on the losing side, so we will have to trade USD CHF keeping that in mind. But CAD, after this sharp move on the higher side of around half a percentage point, the USD has seen a sharp reversal and it has now made a fresh low for the day. It is apparently the most bullish instrument if we look at it from the medium term charting points, because it has been able to successfully break below this prior swing low from where it had corrected and then went on to rise. But now in today's trading session also, it seems to be the leader of the pack with this strong bias on the lower side. So I am expecting the USD to break past even 1.360 range in coming hours. So that possibility is quite strong and it might even go on to decline much further as it is trying to break these consolidation range where it has been finding support closer to 1.360 level for last couple of weeks. So let's see how things unfold. So here we have the USD as the leader of the pack. CAD is the most bullish instrument, bullish currency trading against the US dollar amongst all the major currencies, and CHF being the most bearish one. Let's consider the gold as well. For gold, the appreciation is happening, so the gold is also appreciating against the US dollar in today's trading session, though it is not really that strongly inclined from the medium term perspective. So I would not really go into the details of it, as we have CAD as the clear winner. If you want to look for the bullish trades in these major currencies trading against the US dollar, and if you expect the dollar to steadily hold the current levels and then reverse course, then USDCHF is going to be a good choice to go along in the US dollar. Now let's consider the equity segment with a slight glance on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. For the Dow Jones, the momentum has been slightly less bearish in comparison to the other major equity indices. It is still simply consolidating after having climbed from 31,800 to all the way towards 32,500. Even in today's trading session, the bias still is in favor of bulls with this possibility of Dow again climbing towards the prior swing high established just slightly above 32,500. So if it is able to hold these levels around 32,400, you can expect this climb of the Dow to take it towards 32,600 in coming hours. But that can't really be said about the other major equity indices which are looking firmly in the bearish territory. Particularly for the NASDAQ, the momentum is much more in favor of the bears. Here it has even gone on to break below these prior consolidation lows. So we have now the formation of lower lows and lower highs in place. So we have to trade with these stance being more favorable for the bears. So if you expect the US equities to remain in the bear grip, then pay attention to the price developments in NASDAQ. If it is able to hold below this immediate prior swing high, which is just slightly about 12,600, then I think we can even initiate the short sale trade around these levels of 12,570 to 580 in coming hours. For S&P 500, the things are caught in between. There is not much of clarity on both the sides. The range is simply expanding with this slightly higher swing high and slightly lower swing low. So it is different as well as difficult territory to look for the new trades in the S&P 500. We have much more clarity in terms of the momentum for Dow as well as for the NASDAQ. So there you can try to look for the trading opportunities as per your preference. If you want to go short in the US equities, then NASDAQ is the choice. If you want to go long in the US equities, then of course Dow is your choice. So that's all from my side for today's session, where we consider these price developments in the major currency crosses as well as US equities to look for the trading opportunities. Now I am signing off for the day. I will be back tomorrow with the fresh input on these price developments which change from day to day. So we will be, of course, consider the price action afresh to see how things are unfolding, to make sense of the things so that we can then trade in a profitable manner. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous time ahead. See you next time around. Till then.